You know that failure is a flashlight and learn from your mistakes? Well, among those are admit your mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. It's okay to say, oh yeah, I messed up. Here, let's fix it. When you're working on something like this, the intent is, what are we making this image for? Yeah, we're learning how to use a mock-up to display our artwork, but the end product is a desktop picture. So why don't you go ahead and join me in beginning, and no, you don't have this here, and I could reopen a native version of the big wall mockup and pretend it didn't happen, but I think it's more important to admit your mistakes. And just go ahead, come down to the crop tool. You should start by cropping your image. Now, a couple things I want you to notice. First of all, when you click it, it just shows up in whatever aspect ratio you have. And if you've done the prior videos, yours should be set on 16:9. I showed you this, and there's all kinds of ways to set this up. But right now, we just want 16:9. And then there's a couple other things that are important. We'll talk about straighten later. This is set to the rule of thirds. There are other options here. We'll get to those later on too. We're not going to use the classic mode, and yours should probably be set up like this. So we'll see what yours is. You can tell me. But most importantly, see if I zoom in on this, you can see that this is dark. This is selected. This is delete cropped pixels. If that's deselected, see how it's, whoops, if I don't roll over it, it's not dark. That's deselected. So if I click on it, now when I roll up there, it's selected. That means the other pixels that are outside the crop will be deleted. If you don't do that when you go into Camera Raw, you're going to see all the excess. It's going to show you all the pixels. Oh, wow, those are still there. So now I want to adjust this. So I'm going to click, and I have some people saying, hey, it's sliding back and forth. I can't get it to go straight. Well, just hold down Shift, okay? And I'm going to bring it down so it meets right about in that corner. And rule of thirds, that doesn't quite meet it. Should I try to make it work just right? Well, you can. It's not all that important. Pull this down, it's not really going to work unless I start moving this all over the place. So I'm just going to leave that like that. 16:9. Delete crop pixels is on. Hit return. And then you want to resize this to the size you want to use. We're not going to destroy, even though this is still the big wall mockup, we still have the zip file there. We can change the name in the Finder and still use that original file. But for right now, you look at this, now this seems maybe a little high. I might want to lower that down some. And I show you all that here. Okay, so I'm going to cover how to move your artwork and readjust it. But for right now, what you want to do is get it down to the actual size. And for you, it's 2048 wide. So Option Command I is image size. This is one that I use all the time. So Option Command I is worth learning. The image size dialog box, really important. You want to resample using Preserve Details 2.0. There are other choices here. And I told you when we set the preferences for Photoshop, you wanted to take advantage of Preserve Details 2.0. This is the artificial intelligence that's going on with Adobe's new feature set. So I'm going to change my width to 2560, but you're going to change your width to 2048 because that is the size of our respective desktops. And you can see this really is too high. So we click OK, and I'm going to come back and change that so in after the fact, so that I have this set up how I want it, so it's not sitting way up there. I can click on that and come down. Command S, Command W, and say, oh, look, it moved down. How cool. Maybe a little more, but that's for another time and place. Now you know how to start correctly. We'll get to positioning your art in the videos that follow.